This meeting is being recorded.
That was loud.
Yeah, it was.
So today is the August 3rd SIG ContribEx bi-weekly meeting. As a general reminder, these meetings are recorded and we posted to the internet sometime later. We abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which essentially boils down to please be excellent to each other. I apologize again if I'm a little bit slow today. It's been a fun evening with a lot less sleep. So with the regular business or interests out of the way, we'll pop over to events. I don't think we have any office hours updates. I'm just gonna strike that one from there. Does anyone have any updates on the community meeting? Okay.
Nope.
And we'll ping Laura later. On the Contributor Summit, we did not have a meeting this week as myself and Jeff were at a conference. Xander was there too. And most of the AIs at this point, we can, start tackling in Slack. It's been on me to get the the site launched and is on my to-do list for today. Beyond that, anyone else that is in the Contributor Summit meetings have any other updates? Okay. So
shadows are slowly being assigned from the people who popped up.
Yeah.
There's our update.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we should try and have all the staff selected by assigned to various positions by end of week. Any other event related stuff? Yeah, outside of the summit, I can't really think of any right now. Okay, pop over to mentoring. Meet our contributors. There's a note in there. Who's that from?
Paris?
Presumably.
Probably.
Why is there no Google Docs blame?
Right? There is somewhere.
There sort of is if you go up and see the edit history.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's brutal though.
But it's not a great experience.
No, that's oof.
But yeah, outside of the blog series, that has not existed for a while. So I am honestly okay with just giving that the boot. Group mentoring, there is some cohort information and stuff that's been going on. I do not personally. Does anyone on the line happen to have updates from that?
Yeah, I think SIG CLI and SIG apps are coming up for that. And today SIG CLI has started. I think Paris has two shadows for her who are working with her and helping her getting on done with that.
Awesome. Thank you. I know of a couple other groups that are thinking of starting cohorts soon too, before the next release cycle. But that's still TBD at this point in time. Any other updates on mentoring? Okay, we will pop over to community management. And Josh, I'm assuming this is you with elections?
Yep. Yeah, so the election officers have been selected and confirmed by the steering committee. They have drafted a schedule that is awaiting approval for the election. I actually started writing role documentation for the election officers. this is something that we've really needed. And the next thing is to actually go to the people who volunteered to be in the election sub project and start parceling out tasks. I just have not had a chance to get to that. Honestly, I would have launched the election sub project somewhat later this year, except that we kind of needed to choose election officers. So there is a bunch of stuff to do. I just haven't organized it, and of course other people don't know what needs to be done.
And it's at least starting someplace, but we'll get it sorted out.
Yep.
We also technically we need to have the vote soon for the code of conduct committee, which the nominations for that I believe end tomorrow. If you happen to know anyone that would be potentially want to serve in that role, they do not need to be Kubernetes org members. They should preferably be familiar with the space. I'll say, like, cloud native in general, and then at least ideally have some past experience with code of conduct type things. But nominations for that are still open, and at least last time I looked, we could definitely use more people if you know people that would be potentially interested. There should be information on Cato about that too, if anyone else wants to pass something around. Any other items at this time for community management? Okay, we'll pop over to marketing. Castle is not around, but can someone else potentially give an update on that?
I have not been to the meetings in a couple of weeks, so I'd just be looking at the notes.
The same.
So how about if I just link to the notes?
That'll do.
One
Alvarado,
update.
do you have
is,
anything?
SIG Docs Spotlight blog was out this week, and there is another Spotlight blog. I don't know which SIG it is focused on, but that is yet to come out. Rest, even I left the last meeting early, so I don't have much updates.
Okay.
Oh, actually, there is one thing, which is we are so. We are overhauling how we do blogs, because the pull request workflow is really not working, like catastrophically bad, not working. We have a couple of blogs that have been in editing now for over 2 months, because it turns out that it really doesn't work when you have to ask somebody to remove a comma one at a time, and they're on the opposite side of the world from you. So we're going to be going over to workflow that uses Google Docs and/or HackMD, and where the editor of where there's an assigned editor for the blog post, and the assigned editor actually is the one who puts a date on it and submits it, because anything else is really not going to work. That's been a little slow to implement because we have a bunch of people who work on the blogs, and a lot of them have been in and out of the office, but that's the idea.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that, FYI. Are there any other questions at this point in time for marketing? And then we'll pop over to contributor docs. Noah, you have an update on the contributor guide?
Just that I will continue to be loud about it as I'm making sure that people that are interested find out that we're going to be working on it again, and I'll probably be putting out a doodle for a regular meeting probably end of next week. So that's it.
Cool. Thank you. Eric is, and some of the other tech writers that are working on the workshop haven't popped on this call, but I know that they should hopefully have a draft of the at least first pass at the workshop soon-ish, or replacement for the new contributor workshop, new contributor course. Again, sorry, very, very tired today. And that actually will tie in slightly to, actually, if we pop down to Craig, your open item on code spaces, because I know they potentially want to integrate that into the course and being able to get people doing stuff there.
I definitely would love to work with them on it. I haven't heard back from anyone on the chat that you tagged me in.
Okay. I will reach out to them later today and try and do a follow-up.
Thanks. I'm happy to be proactive and poke them if that's more helpful.
Okay.
I just didn't want to be too pushy.
One way that I'll like start a group DM or something like that to for an intro. Any other items at this point in time for contributor docs? Okay. GitHub management. I couldn't make the last meeting, so I don't have an update on this one.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I intend to insinuate myself into that meeting, but I haven't done so yet.
It's a monthly one, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, I just realized it's on my calendar for the end of August. I'll be there.
Sweet.
Cool. Then that will take us back down to our open mic items, and Craig, I know kind of touched on it a little bit a moment ago, but you wanted to give a bigger spiel about the fun stuff you're working on?
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, so hi, everybody. I don't know how many, I know a lot of you, but not everyone. Actually, Dibabrata and I met this morning or his evening earlier to talk about code spaces and how it might play a role as a follow-on to the now defunct Katacoda work. So let me take a big step back and tell you what I'm doing, what I'm hoping to accomplish, and some ideas for how we might proceed. So I joined GitHub in April. I am a product manager on the Codespaces team, focused on enabling open source communities to get the absolute most out of cloud-based developer environments. And it's amazing to get paid to do that. It's like a job made for me. So Codespaces, for anyone who doesn't know yet, because not everybody has access to Codespaces yet, that's actually the first thing I'm working on fixing, is making sure that everybody on GitHub can use these powerful cloud-based developer environments. What is a cloud-based developer environment? It is not only an IDE. Currently, the default is VS Code, but we're working on enabling other IDEs, plus all of the configuration of the tooling for those IDEs, everything from customization specific to a repository. So you may have specific tools, linters, testing tools, things like that that you want to configure. And personalization, like what extensions for VS Code do I like, and how does it feel like it's exactly for me, and all the associated runtimes. All of that is packaged up in a customized development container. So we're leveraging the same underlying technology the Visual Studio Code remote development works on. We've worked together with the VS Code team to open source the dev container spec and a CLI implementation of that. And we're now partnering GitHub together with the VS Code team. We're co-developing it now, and we're looking for other people to take advantage of that same spec. And so that's how you encode all of the customizations that you want for this development environment. And so what you get out of it is the ability to put into a repo a button that says open in GitHub Codespaces, and you will have pre-built a container with all of your dependencies that will then run any setup scripts as it's creating. And so within a minute or less, you can have a fully blown Kubernetes inner loop kind of development environment that's running not on your local machine. You can connect to it from your local VS Code, but it's running, you know, in the cloud managed by us. And the idea is to have transient environments that automatically clone all the code into your environment, and then you can just get it started coding, run your tests, and when you're ready, you get rid of it. It's done. And all your work is persisted in the repo, in your fork, in your branch, wherever it is you're working. So there are a couple of awesome use cases that in talking to a bunch of different open source communities, we've identified. So one is the new contributor experience. So I come to Kubernetes and I start reading the contributor guide, and I am lost so fast. I don't know about you. We as a community, I've been a part of this for years too. Like how we've done a lot of work to try to make it easy to approach. It is not, and we all know that. So the question is, how do you get people past that initial hurdle to start contributing? You can't like wish away all the complexity. What we can do is encode it in the configuration of a code space so that I can create this virtual machine, and within a minute, I have a running environment and I can start doing things. And then I can sort of unpeel the onion from this place of productivity, as opposed to banging my head against the fact that I can't compile on my Chromebook that I'm working with, or the iPad I'm working from. And so you get a much more approachable thing for the contributors. Then as a maintainer, I have to maintain a set of environments for each repo. And if I'm doing reviews on PRs, how do I maintain that? That's a big headache for all of us. The idea is CodeSpace, I can just go to a PR, I can create a CodeSpace from that PR. CodeSpace pulls in all the dependencies, applies the commits from the PR to my repo. I can both review the code and test the code in this environment that's specially set up for doing PR reviews. So there's a lot of different use cases that I'm really excited about. I don't want to try to boil the ocean. I'm first curious what questions there are. Second, are there sort of practical low-hanging fruit? We've identified already working on the Kata Coda, getting people started kind of scenario as a logical one. And Diprabhata and I started working on that this morning or his evening, and are going to proceed there. But I'm also interested to see where there might be other initiatives that I could get involved in. The number one question people ask is, well, how does this work from until we have code spaces available to everyone perspective? Today, I have the ability to make everybody who's members of an org, a GitHub org, have access to code spaces before we roll it out to everyone else. That would be a big switch to flip for the whole Kubernetes org. I'm definitely willing to do that. And all of the support and everything else that entails, because that learning is, nothing is perfect. I want to make all of the rough edges much more smooth so that when we make it available to absolutely everyone on the planet later this year, it's amazing. So I'm here to be the person that makes code spaces work great for Kubernetes. That's my spiel. Questions?
Here we should. Do you have a comment?
Oh, so Rishi, it looks like you've used code spaces probably in your own forks and PRs for a while. I'd love to work with you. Rishi, love to learn from your experience doing that. I've just done the basics of testing build, and build works great, but I haven't taken it a whole lot further just myself yet.
I can say I love it. I do a lot of work from an iPad, and I use CodeSpaces quite frequently, and we have it turned on at our organization, so it's also very good. And I think that would be an awesome thing.
Thanks, Marky.
Now, one of the things is if we're looking at this as a learning tool, of course, it's more important for it to be accessible to people who are not yet org members.
That's
rather
right.
than people who are already org members. So I almost think if we're during this phase when it's only open to a group, that it might actually be better to create a group, something called like Kubernetes learners or something, and then have people sign up.
I agree. That's exactly the model we've used for workshops. So when people are running workshops, we'll have them create an org, set up repos that are specifically designed for those workshops, and then join everybody who is a part of that workshop into that org. And that way it becomes a very smooth experience. I definitely game for doing that, but I would also like to start doing at least setting the stage for the longer term thing, which would be also for an option that maintainers could leverage as well.
The one big thing that a lot of the maintainers could bring would be more of that, like, what they need to actually be able to debug stuff well and provide that knowledge that, someone coming to this that is just trying to, run, make, and, do one little thing and might not be able to provide. We do have the contributor playground repo for people to test new PRs and things like that. Again, they don't have to be org members, at least to interact with our bots. But I don't know I don't think that would be appropriate for trying to get people to try like doing stuff for KK, which is the most complicated one to have an environment and do everything for.
Yeah, well, I guess but that's a question. Like, I don't know how this a group assignment and that sort of thing works. So if somebody's in the group, I can still use code spaces against one of my own forks or not.
So the repo needs to be in the organization which has access. Today.
Yeah, that's going to make it difficult.
Exactly. And that's what's going to change in November when I can release this to everybody on the planet. We just have a lot of work to do between now and then. So essentially the challenge is we're going to have to just find ways to do, if this makes sense, and for people who are interested, to do some exploration around what that experience will look like by simulating it. And then what I would love to be in the position to do in my ideal world, we would kind of showcase some of this in workshops at KubeCon, if that made sense, I don't know. And then when we turn it on, we'll have it in November, December, then everyone will have this great experience kind of all set up. It's okay if it happens later too.
Yeah. I don't know, at least in terms of like being able to add people to like a GitHub group right now, they do all have to be Kubernetes like members of one of our organizations. So one other potential idea, since we do have a lot of people that don't necessarily contribute to KK proper, but are in the, in the Kubernetes project, would be to like send something out to KDev or ask him like Kubernetes contributors, because there are probably people that are org members that haven't done any real work in KK that might be able to, test and go through those workflows as someone new to doing stuff there. Does that make sense?
I guess let's unravel that a little bit. I was a little distracted, sorry, by Joseph's question.
Oh, no worries.
So what is your idea there, Bob?
So we do have plenty of people in the Kubernetes org that have not actually done any PRs to KK. So there's probably, we do have this, Venn diagram of people that are org members, but haven't done like serious work in the Kubernetes repo. That could probably be a good sample group to get going with this, because they have at least some experience in our community, so they might be able to provide sort of at least a bit more informed feedback and still get that somewhat new contributor experience in terms of going through it.
That makes sense. I think that would be most productive if we can identify a set of specific individuals who are interested and motivated to do that. And then I could collaborate with them on what that experience would look like. We can use the organization administration. So I could enable code spaces for the KK org, well, for the Kubernetes org, and then we could essentially enable code spaces for a specific set of people. So we don't open the floodgates and have the risk of some people having a bad experience. In that way, then we could do that. I just need, I want to identify the use cases and the people.
Yeah.
Would it be beneficial to create personas? Send an email to KDEB with those personas saying, looking for volunteers that meet these personas. You have sort of, I would say, not your no code people, but there are some individuals that, like Bob was saying, that don't directly work on KK. And then you have your core code people. If you identify those and then just maybe throw something to KK, and you may get a bunch of things back, but you'll be able to weed through them a little bit better. That's just a suggestion.
I'm totally open to that. Sounds good.
And I said no code, and actually I think there is no such thing as no code, because everybody's doing a form of code. So
we only know of one actual no coder.
well played.
So yeah, okay, that sounds like a good
Okay.
next step for me, Marky. I will I'll do that. I would appreciate, because this I have not been very active in the last year, unfortunately. I was distracted with the startup thing, and so I would appreciate maybe if one of y'all is kind of interested in pairing with me, because I don't know what kind of issues and activities are current that would benefit everyone, unless the use cases I described are resonate with everybody right off the bat.
Since I'm the one that said something, I'll be more than willing to help.
Oh, thank you, Marky. And I think you actually already set up some time for us to
Yeah,
chat
we're talking tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah,
For a different project.
Yep, perfect. So we
Awesome.
can maybe hit two birds with one stone that way. Thanks.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Appreciate the time all.
So pop back over to. Were there any other open mic items that potentially weren't in the docs that people want to talk about? We have 20 minutes left.
Mark,
I just wanted to, I put one thing
sorry.
on there. And I'd like to see if everybody is okay with adding a new section to the topics that we cover for moderation. And maybe I got to work sort of with Noah, Code Ranger, Kantowitz on this just to make sure what we'd like to, publicly give an update on moderation things. But I'd like to add a section on there where we were sort of capturing that in a, bi-weekly cadence or even a monthly cadence. from the moderation side.
I think that's fine. We actually probably need to update our template in general because there's a few things that we pretty much always skip, or the people aren't necessarily around consistently to give updates. So, sorry, cat chewing on a cable. I think we can do that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That was all that I had.
Any other updates or anything else? Sorry.
Bob, just to make you feel better, when I was doing that looking around thing, it was because I thought I was rolling over one of my cats. So
One of my cats is just like chewing on a cable, and I'm just like, no. Okay. I think with that, then we can call it here, and we can follow up in Slack. Thank you, everyone, and I will see you around the internet.
awesome. Cheers, everybody.
Later.
Hope you can get some sleep.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.